Well, so we are now officially recording. So, how's it going, guys? Welcome to another Silica video. It's funny, I'm doing this live on stream, so say hello to all the chat as well if you're in the YouTube comments. And I've got the man himself in that direction because it's mirrored.
Hey
DRAM,
guys.
the man, the main dev man in the corner. If you like the video, please leave a like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button to see some more Silica content. We are live on Saturday this week, but next week, I'm pretty sure it'll be Sunday. So, at the moment, we're going in between Saturday and Sunday because I am doing other things on certain Sundays, but we'll be back to normal. We'll be back to normal Silica Sundays very soon. Without further ado, we are going to get into the patch notes, and DRAM is going to give us some explanations on the whole thing, so on the whole shebang. So anything that I don't know about, DRAM will graciously explain it to us. So,
Yes.
in your glorious voice, Mr. DRAM, do you want to read the I was there, I had seen it?
I can try, yeah. I will try. All right. need a bloody drink for this. which this is something stronger than water, yeah.
Are you acting now? Oh god, here we go.
All right. It's terrible that I can actually see myself, but it doesn't help. Here we go. I was there. I had seen it. The lining of the cyst burst to reveal a creature of horrific visage. No eyes to behold, yet a lust for violence to match the greatest of gladiators. It strode through the biotic mass from whence it came, then turned directly towards us. There was but a moment's pause, then carnage. Without warning, a powerful beam eviscerated Corporal Adrian, born of the monster's prominent posterior. We fled, but the behemoth persisted. I recall a violent impact, and then nothing. But I was fortunate. Crushed between a mound... Shit. I lost myself. But I was fortunate. Crushed beneath a mound of dirt and rock. I remained concealed, while my detachment was devoured in the night. By daylight, I had made it back to base. Captain Geiger, lone survivor of the Advanced Forward Reconnaissance Team. Yeah, it was a bit shit, but what can you do?
I like how he was crushed between a mound of shit. that was the best bit. That was the best bit. And my cat's here to say hello. So, a warm summer welcome to everyone. Today's update introduces numerous fixes, improvements, and importantly, a new control key binding system. Additionally, the Behemoth has received a much-needed rework, bringing it in line with other units that have received such. This was a sidestep to the current main focus of improving the respawn mechanics and the AI collision avoidance. But this was highly requested. Several recurring multiplayer issues have also been addressed, and as well as further improvements to performance. So, thank you again for your support and have a wonderful week. See you on the surface. Okay, so we've got some gameplay changes. So, added full control key binding system. So, we've got some glorious key binds that we can actually change and switch around. I believe the wildlife has been fixed as well, DRAM, in that? If I remember correctly?
Yes.
It has.
Yes, that has been fixed.
Sweet.
Wait. Yes, it has. It has.
And I can actually spawn in stuff as well on the wildlife team. So pirating, the Balturian pirates may make an appearance today. We'll see. We'll see. Changed behemoth appearance. I just have to.
Never mind. I was just going to say you just have to use the spawn command with the thing, and then I realized you already know that.
Oh, with the camera position copied. Yes.
And hello. I didn't want to interrupt you, but. Sup, Lewis? Always good to see you, man. And hello, Golanx as well, man. Always good to see you guys.
How you doing, guys? Welcome. So, change beam appearance, including the addition of a tail-like appendage. Lewis, don't you dare. Behemoth now fires a beam instead of ball insects. Balanced. Improved Scorpion acid ball range increased and AI aim calculation fixed, which I'm a big fan of because I love the Scorpion in its current iteration. AI will fire Scorpion when its tail is visible over an edge, and it will also do the same with the Shocker. So you'll see some head glitching Scorpions and Shockers shooting at you from over the top of cliff edges, which is great. So it's tended to do.
No, you misunderstood that. That's the other way around. If you poked the top of the tail over the edge, people wouldn't shoot at you. Like the AI would not shoot at you because they didn't consider you in line of sight.
Got you.
But now they do, so they do shoot at you. They sometimes shoot at the floor.
Right.
So it's a different problem.
So what will the AI fire over the top of edges, or is that not a thing at the moment?
Oh, it will. Like
It will. Okay.
for the Scorpion, it works fine. It
Mm-hmm.
doesn't work so well for the
Shocker.
Behemoth at the moment
Oh, the
because they aim
behemoth.
at its
Right.
butt, and the butt is behind the cover. But yeah, so
Oh
that's
yeah,
the minor thing.
they go for the weak point, don't they? And the
Yes,
Scorpion's weak point is its lovely, pustully, shooty appendage. Oh god, that
it's
came out so
butt.
wrong.
It's lovely butt.
His lovely buttocks. Right. Performance. Fixed memory link related to deleted units staying in memory. Context on that one?
Well, that one was that. Okay, so there was a memory leak on basically it all came about during the change to loading, right? The way loading worked. Um, because before it was we loaded in a new level, and the previous one would then kind of like get deleted and removed, which meant that it had to actually take like a ridiculous amount of memory at that point, right?
Right.
Now it unloads the first level and then loads the new one. But it introduced a few more issues which still are being fixed because there still is a strange memory leak, I've noticed, but it's much smaller. So it's something that still happens, but it's just much over a much greater time. But before it was that after like a couple of hours, the server was taking up like 20 gig, and then it just went to up to using everything. It was just like ridiculous.
Right. Okay. Okay. Fixed. Pathfinding memory overhead for units are destroyed but not deleted.
So that one is basically when if there was units which were doing pathfinding, which is just obviously they're doing it incredibly often, and you destroy the unit, it would continue doing pathfinding and keep it in memory, rather than just clearing it and making it available for another unit, which meant it just took up more memory than it needed. It's a minor one. It's a minor one, but nonetheless.
Okay. Optimize pre-computed terrain physics material indices. Is it indices? Indecises?
Indices.
It is indices.
Indices.
For all maps, stops at the huge up to 10-second spikes at the start of every match. Now I did notice the 10-second spikes quite often for a long time, and it's literally gone. So
Yes.
but that's really good. That's really
That
good.
was a good find by the guys. That was a good find.
Optimize impact decals now fade on GPU instead of CPU.
So you know how when you would shoot stuff and it would leave holes everywhere and the
Yes.
decal would kind of like fade.
Yes.
That was previously done on the CPU, like calculated. So even just calling it was obviously taking a little bit of performance, but I mean it's not a big performance impact, but it is like 1 millisecond, which does make a difference. So now it fades on the GPU, making it much more performant.
Cool.
Which means the only time you really see a big difference is when there's hundreds of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is so big battles, bullets flying everywhere, and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's fair. Optimized animated units use lower quality animation when far from the camera and completely disabled animation when very far. So that's like a low distance thing, right? Where at a further range things will be more pixelated because you're not seeing the impressive detail. Is that on the same level?
No, that's completely different. It's basically so if I'm moving my hands, right, you can see it's all fluid and stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's obviously it's real life, but you get the point. But now imagine that like if you move me further away, you wouldn't notice the fluid movement if I was doing it like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's basically what we do.
Right.
We kind of like reduce it to like much more. So it's not per frame directly. It's like every couple of frames or whatever.
Yeah.
It's much more it's much more optimized and you disable animation completely when it's far away. So the unit is just literally just frozen. Yeah, when it's really far away because you don't need the detail there.
Yeah. So for example, like the harvester wheels, for example.
No, that's different. That's
different again.
That's different.
Okay.
Yeah, it's literally for and like from a technical perspective, it's anything that's a skinned mesh renderer, right? So that means anything that has like a rig with bones and all this kind of stuff, and is moving around. So all aliens and all infantry, and that's it.
Okay, so
like no vehicles.
So vehicles remain the same when moving at longer range.
That's untouched.
Okay,
that's untouched. That's different. Yeah, but it will receive the same
thing.
What's it called?
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Terrain pixel error settings increased on lower terrain detail settings.
Yes, this one makes no sense for anyone, and it made zero sense for me when I was when I was setting it up for the Great Erg back in 2022 or three, whatever. But basically, it's like pixel error. Basically, what it means is it means how detailed the terrain looks, right? That's long story short. That's and I probably should have just put terrain detail setting, but anyway, but basically, like the higher the setting, the the more detailed the terrain looks, right?
Yeah.
And it just means like you get these nice like the whatever, like the dunes will have a very sharp edge rather than being a bit rounded off, and so obviously in this regard, the more detail you have there, it can actually eat a lot of performance.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what really helped, and I suspect that's what's helping in the benchmarks quite a lot.
Mm. Okay. Harvester pistons updated only on change.
Yes, so that's another one. So the pistons, because you can like hit them with bullets, and not just those, but anything that it moves, right?
Yeah.
Every time it has to like update and like the harvester arms and they're like extending, then when they're up stationary, not moving, then it was still updating like their position, which meant it was just updating the physics hierarchy of the harvester during that time, which was completely pointless. Yeah, now it doesn't do that unless it actually has to. So it is a big change as well. Like it can make quite a big difference in performance. If you have like 20 harvesters and they're all just moving but not harvesting, like not actively literally
Yeah.
moving the pistons and whatever, then it makes a massive difference.
Okay. Cool. Right. Bolterium decals disabled all at once instead of individually. Now I think you explained this to me. Um, is it during a map change where instead
No.
it's not?
It's this again. This is based on like these performance things are basically when you go and you move your camera to a Bolterium field.
Got you.
Previously, they were kind of like all. Sorry.
I said yeah. Got you.
Ah, right, yeah. So when you move your camera like to a Bolterium field, you can see the kind of like the decals kind of like pop in one by one.
Right. Yeah.
More recently because this was changed and improved upon, and this now was done so it's done all at once because it's tied not to individual decals
Yeah.
but to the actual like the entire field. Yeah, you get close to the field, bang, they all fade in, and it's just cheaper
Yeah.
basically because you
Sure.
don't have to check the distance for each individual one, but for all of them at once.
So, was there
And that
another
also makes a big difference.
optimizations? Was there another optimization in regard to when a map was changed, everything was deleted at once instead of deleted one at a time? Is
No,
that
no,
what I was
no,
getting
no.
confused with?
That's no, no. That's got nothing to do with it. That's got
Okay,
nothing to do with it.
okay, fair
It's
enough.
literally like it's in real time when you're moving your
Yeah,
camera around, moving your vehicle. Like if you look at the kind of like the Volterium field where the crystals are, and you get the decals under them. Yeah,
yeah.
there's no need to draw them when you're far away. And this is one thing which I'm actually quite frankly surprised Unity didn't solve all that well.
Mm-hmm.
When you're far away from the decals and they're not drawn, they still eat performance. So,
Got you.
like, disabling them, ironically, saves a lot of performance. So that's what we did.
Okay, got you.
Oh, I'm just seeing that Golinks is saying harvester bug has really hurt human. Yes, I know. It's already fixed locally. It'll be in the next build.
Oh no, what am I to experience today? What am I to experience with the harvester? Oh no. Oh, I'll probably figure out instantly. Don't tell me, guys. I want to figure out. Oh, my voice just went funny.
Oh,
Don't tell me. I want to figure out. I want to see what it's about. Um, audio effects. Volume and pitch changed only for audible sounds.
so this one probably didn't make all that much of it, like that much of an impact. But basically, when there was sounds that would be
Mm-hmm.
played. If they were too far away, they wouldn't actually be audible, right? So you wouldn't actually hear them, and therefore they weren't actually playing. But the pitch and volume were still being changed in real time, like to like engine going up and all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
So it makes some difference, but not a massive one. But it's a minor one, but still, it is an optimization.
Okay. Right. Vehicle ground particle FX updates limited to 100 instances per frame.
Okay, so right, like previously, it was checking, if you're driving the vehicle and it's doing dust all around you and all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Previously, it was calculating them all every frame, but there's no real need to because it doesn't change that drastically. So right now it just calculates 100. So if you have 300 cars, it will take 3 frames to update them all. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Got you. Okay. Okay. Clearing a map team layer change to array.clear brackets instead of the loop, or instead of a loop.
This one's a very like technical one. Basically, there was when you have the map team layer. The map team layer is a texture which is 1024 by 1024, roughly speaking. So quite a lot of pixels. And what I did before, I was just looping through it like 4x from 0 to 1024, and then within that loop, 4y0 to 1024, because that way you cover all of them horizontally going through. I would clear each individual one, but in fact it was just silly because there was literally a function for that, just literally array clear, which saved some not irrelevant amount of performance. So
Right. The next performance one. So caching of construction site values, updating on change instead of per frame.
So that one is it was calculating essentially what was it? It was calculating per frame when there was a construction effect, right? It had to calculate the percentage of like shit.
The percentage
It will come
of
to
shit.
me. It's I'm looking for the words. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So basically, it's mainly for updating the heat effects and all this kind of stuff, right? The visual kind of like the glowy shit, all this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
So to update that, it basically calculated that previously every single frame, even if it was the same, even if it logically could not have changed. Right now, it just doesn't update that unless it's changed. So
Okay.
it saves a little bit of performance, but yeah, nonetheless.
Cool. Right. So we're now onto the technical. So fix don't call base game objects when the camera is inside of them.
Yes, that one was actually found by Lewis. It was when he was at a certain spot, I think on the HQ, and he looked like that it was just out of the view frustum. It would actually cull the HQ, which is not pleasant. It's a minor thing because it barely ever happens, but it was happening. It's like, oh crap, so we just got to take the radius into account. A minor thing.
Yeah, okay. So server settings XML cannot be saved cannot be saved bug that occurred during when it was being read.
Yes. So that happened when it was what could happen is it would read the server settings, and at the same time in one of the parts while it was reading it and updating it needed to save it. And so therefore, obviously, it can't save it while it's reading it. It was a minor issue, but it could cause sometimes. You sometimes got that like a thing when you start a new server. It would sometimes have in the like, couldn't save server settings.xml. It didn't have any reason. Now it actually says the reason, and the reason was that it's still open. So obviously.
Okay. Yeah, that's mainly a Windows thing as well, isn't it? When you're reading
It
something,
is.
you can.
No, it will be on any like OS.
Yeah.
If you have a file open and you're reading it, you just can't write it, right?
Yeah. Right. So when a server or client receives any data from a client or server, heartbeat is considered received.
I think you just jump a couple of things, but.
Did I? Oh, I did. Sorry. Yeah, no, I did. I jumped a massive amount. What am I doing? Login of unexpected changes in daytime.
Well, there was server communication ports now in server settings.xml in technical. That just is like there's these ports which you have to set to communicate to with Steam and for like pinging the server and all this kind of stuff. And previously they were hard coded. And now I put them into the server settings because this it means you can run 2 servers on the same machine or more, right? Because you obviously use different ports. It's just more for like allowing that, and mainly it's done because I was looking for how to fix it in the office, because I hosted a server there and I couldn't see it, because ironically because the same ports were being used by Daisy.
Right, okay.
Yeah. Game settings XML and server settings may also be placed into game group. Yes, so right now, if you place game settings and server settings into the same place as the game files, it will read those instead of the ones in the like the documents folder, right? That's just mainly something that was requested by like a few people, which want to have it as they want to host multiple instances, and it needs to be obviously in the one thing. So that's just that.
Okay, that's fair. Right, yeah. So I missed those two. I don't know where I was going. I was going into multiplayer for some reason. Logging of large unexpected changes in daytime.
That's just to help kind of like locate the issue why day suddenly turns to night. The flashbang, you know.
Yeah, the flashbang through the door, blind me during the day. Like, oh yes, it's finally nighttime. Boom, 7 a.m. I'm like, my eyes.
Exactly.
Oh god, I'm glad that's fixed. I don't have to be flashbanged anymore. Multiplayer. Fixed player names was sent as part of an initial player list packet, filling up when max bytes was reached.
Yeah, that one could really mess things up sometimes. So what would happen is when, let's say you joined for example, the PB server, and you were the, I don't know, 30th person, 36th or whatever, then you would get the server would send you init values for all of the stuff, but it would send us individual packets, obviously, for the reason that, you know, it needs to be individual packets because it's a lot of information, and a packet can have a maximum of like 1400 bytes. So, which is still quite a lot of data. But what would happen here, it would send like the player information, which is like score and whatever, and that's not that important. But it would also send the names. And the problem is that each character is a string. Yeah. Or is a byte, sorry. Each character has to be sent as a byte. So it meant that it really just quickly just used up the size of the packet, and then was complaining, like, only on the server log, of course, was saying, oh, you know, cannot send more data because it's just full. So when I put in some logging, then I found out it was just this silly thing. So I obviously, you know, now I do it separately. So you firstly you get the initial playlist packet, everyone's named ... and then afterwards each of the play names are sent to you individually.
Okay.
To ensure that everyone can have like a really long name or whatever. Like obviously within reason, there's still a limit.
Yeah. My mind just went straight to huge anime. You know that guy's name. I see him every week. It just makes me laugh when I see him. Server did not consider connecting players for maximum, allowing more than maximum number of players to join. Yes, the overcapacity. Yes, we love that. Yes.
Yeah, that was just a simple one. That was like when so what would happen is when someone would join, like click join, it would tell the server would be like, yep, no worries, mate, and would log them. Would like just tell them, all right, join, you're allowed, and load this map. And that's it. It stopped communicating with them at that point. It didn't consider them a player, or like it added them to the player list, but it didn't. It didn't add them to the player list. That it waited for them to actually load. Yeah, because if anything happened, they quit or whatever before then you know you don't want to be holding a slot for too long.
Yeah.
And of course, during the time while that person was loading, anyone could join and just, you know, keep going above maximum, whatever. So what I do now is I do keep the player there, and it does take up a slot for a little while, but it's limited to, like, you know, the loading time, the max loading time, like I think like 90 seconds or something like that. I forget exactly.
Okay.
A reasonable grace time.
Yeah. Right. When a server or client receives any data from client or server, heartbeat is considered received, fixing some disconnects.
So this one is a little bit of a strange one. So what I was doing was every, I think, 10 seconds or second, I forget now exactly, I think it's every second, I sent just a packet which is just empty, basically, from the server to the client, and from each client to the server, not as a reaction, but just in general, like just every 10 seconds it sends a notifier, or every second or something like that, whatever, not important. And that just means that's just called a heartbeat. Yeah, just letting the server know I exist. I'm still connected, still actively connected. Yeah.
Okay.
And what was happening, sometimes that heartbeat would actually not arrive for some time. Like it just stopped arriving for some person. So that was the issue where there were 36 players, and suddenly everyone just like was getting disconnected. You remember that?
Yeah.
So I mean, I put in this fix because it was needless to be sending heartbeats, or like to be waiting specifically for that heartbeat packet if it received any data at all. Yeah. So basically, what it does, as soon as it receives any data at all from the server, completely relevant of its context, it considers a heartbeat as being received. And it just means it sends a tiny, like, it's a bit of an optimization, you can say, because it means also, like, if I don't need to send a heartbeat if I'm sending other data. Yeah. But it's just absolutely micro. It makes no difference.
Yeah. Okay. Right. So logging a player name changed, and then it says init on server now. That is short for something, right?
Oh, logging of play name change or init on server. So what that means is, if so, for example, you join the PB server.
Yes.
Your player gets added as ... and then you send your name as a separate packet because it can be long, right? So it gets received on the server and then it gets logged there. Okay, on the server, of course, it says, Steam ID whatever has this name, and if you change your name to, let's say, Giant Big, then basically it logs that as well. This is mainly for admin purposes. Yeah, if there's someone like that needs to be banned for whatever reason or kicked or whatever, then you can kind of see under which name that was.
Okay.
And
cool.
more importantly, the Steam ID associated with it.
Cool. Yeah. Okay, so probably my favorite ones coming up now, because it's all to do with my plans. Added spawn console command now as an optional input team and position rotation. Use camera command for current cam data.
Yes, and it's regional, which is fun because obviously if I switch it to like the Czech keyboard, which I barely use, but nonetheless, if you switch it to the Czech keyboard, instead of dots, we have commas. Yeah, that just doesn't work with this, but it's a minor thing. Just edit it manually. Like, I assume it's not that big of an issue, but I will fix it, of course. So when you use the camera command, so it does actually get the correct data. I had no idea it was regional.
I'm gonna give it a go today. I am gonna give it a go. So I'm gonna test it out for you in a massive manner. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that. Spawn console command flooded packet when called on admin client to server.
Yes, this one. Okay, so this one was a bit more technical to solve. So what happens is, when you send a command, like, let's say you're an admin, yeah? Because if you're not an admin, it just says, no, you got no admin privileges, I'm not going to send anything, yeah? So each console command has different levels of who can call it, yeah? If it's anyone, or if it's an admin or a root admin, for example, yeah? And if you send it as an admin, you turn on cheats or whatever, or even if you turn on cheats and you're not an admin, at that point, anyone can kind of call cheats, right?
Yeah.
And if you send let's say, spawn command, then what it should give you back, if you do it in single player, it says all of the things that you can possibly spawn. It floods the console with them, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so what happened was that would it would normally just go and actually get those objects and get their names and send that to you. Yeah. And the problem is that packet just grew really, really large, really quickly. It could no longer fit more data into the packet, and therefore it just sent a bunch of trash afterwards. Yeah, and on the client end, when it received it, it was like, oh, null reference, null, and it was kind of crap. But it was only just for that receiving that spawn thing. So you'd call spawn and you'd get first few valid entries, and then just as junk. Yeah, just null. Yeah. So what I do instead, and that was because it was just sending the names. If you have ultra heavy vehicle factory, that in itself is like 30 bytes, right? So it filled it really quickly. So what I did there was just to solve the problem was, it just sends the number of like the index, because the index is like, when I say, okay, you, I'm the server, right? And I tell you, the client, I tell you spawn a light quad. I don't tell you spawn light quad. I tell you spawn prefab at index 64, for example, whatever, 1 or 2, whatever, it doesn't matter, right? So I just send you a number of what to spawn, and because those list of objects is the same on both sides, then it's just the easiest way to do it to use it here, because it means minimal data is used to send a spawn command. Yeah, so that's what I do. I just reduce it to just a number, and I send that instead, and therefore there's plenty of space left in the packet for me to increase further objects to spawn.
Okay, cool. Yeah, because I did notice the null stuff coming up.
Yeah.
When I type in spawn,
it was a minor
like,
one, right?
Boom, red afterwards. I was like, what?
it was a minor one, but I wanted to fix it because it's never good to have like that kind of crap.
Yeah. So we're now on to new server log naming did not work on Windows. Failed to create log.
Oh yeah, that was actually, that probably shouldn't be in here because it's relative to one of the betas where it actually relates to the point further down, which is debugging. Server log now renamed to server underscore year underscore month underscore day underscore hour double dot seconds dot log. Right.
Right. Okay.
It's just that so you don't lose the logs every time you restart the server or whatever. And the problem was that there before I was a bit dumb and I put what did I put? I think I put I put a specific character which is just not allowed in Windows for naming a file, right? So it just it didn't create the log and it never logged anything.
Okay.
So that's why that's the fix which is further up there, but it shouldn't be in this log because I usually compile this change log from all the betas, and put it together and then remove stuff. So that just passed me.
Okay. So the server will now log multiple sessions without overwriting as well, right?
Exactly,
Cool.
precisely.
Yeah, then that'll be good for like if, for example, for Cornholio, for example, being PB's main server host.
Not only
He has an issue.
Cornholio, and yes, exactly. Not only Cornholio, but also for me because I've got the official test server that I'm using for like testing. I've been letting it run for I don't know a couple of days now, and I want to see like what happens on it,
Yeah.
And that's the thing. I need those logs to be in there. And I'm running a batch file which automatically restarts it if it crashes. So that would mean I'd lose the log. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Right. Oh yeah, I did say to the guys if I can't get into PB, I'll be jumping into the test server to.
Yeah, I have no idea how much it can handle. To be fair, like
testing
some
time.
I think Mr. Knecht was telling me that it didn't handle all that well. But that was during the day. That was during the day where there's a lot of developers in the office and they're just sucking the network dry.
Yeah.
But
Okay. Well, we'll give it a go if PB's full, then we'll have a look and see how the server handles us, if anything.
Yep.
Right. Added lights. Did we do this one? No, we didn't. Lights control. Lights console control command. My God. To toggle hiding of lights and game objects for debugging purposes. So I assume this is behind the scenes stuff, right?
Mainly it's mainly to debug because when I disabled lights, it basically like if I spawned 100 barracks, which is insane, but you get the point. That's what you usually test on, like the worst possible conditions.
Yeah.
I spawned 100 barracks, and the lights. When I disabled lights, it did a massive boost to FPS. Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why I put in that console command. It's just purely for debugging. It has no purpose for like the game at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just mainly for debugging because I needed to have it in the build because it didn't work correctly in the editor. Yeah, or I needed to be able to test it in a build specifically.
Sure. Okay. Added logging for floor area in M. I want to say over
in meters
2.
squared.
Meters
squared.
When logging nav mesh recalculation times.
Yeah. So that like that arrow up just means that the 2 is meant to be like small.
Yeah.
Like the to the power of. So that is literally just so when there's a really long nav mesh recalculation that takes like 20 seconds, you're like, the fuck? Then you see the actual floor area that was recalculated. And sometimes it's several kilometers squared, So that's exactly why it's like, oh shit, that's why I put in the logging for it because to make sure there's nothing particularly anomalous.
Right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And the last one, because we've already covered the server.log, fixed. Stream writer did not log the calling function.
That was just a minor one. It was I had it if there was an error, for example, when trying to write into the packet, and the packet was already full, then it would say, "Oh, cannot write into the packet." And you remember you've probably seen the message a couple of times where it said null and then in brackets 0 could not write more data into the packet, or could not write 6 bytes into the packet. Maximum size 1400. And that was just because there was a tiny issue where I actually forgot to write that null 0 was actually meant to be the name of the object which sent it and the name of the function. Yeah, it's just debugging purposes.
Okay. Well, that comes to the end of the patch notes. Now, a cheeky question: what are we to expect in the next patch? If there's any details you can provide, if not, don't worry. But Just for the guys.
I'm sorry, you're breaking up, man.
So what was that? I can't hear you. I'll disconnect.
No, jokes aside. So like, what's coming up in the next patch? Like on the Discord forums, it was Discord. I'm used to saying forums. I'm just gonna call it forums. Screw it. Old like that in this regard. But anyway, so on the Discord, there was a lot of people like saying, the behemoth is not good for anti-air and all this kind of stuff. So I did consider like pushing an anti-air unit, but after increasing its accuracy, I do think it is possible to use it. Right? It's still not ideal, but it is possible to use. So I'll probably move away from it now, like, and just leave that for a little bit later, mainly for like two reasons. One, adding a new unit, it wastes a couple of days. And what I need to do is I need to do a Linux build. Yeah, for various reasons. I need to do a Linux build for a dedicated server build specifically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So that's what I'm going to be doing in the nearest case. So that's nothing for the game itself. But then after that, I want to be diving into finally finish the respawning. Yeah, that'll probably be top priority. So you can select on a map where you respawn.
That'll be good.
Yeah.
That'll be real good. Yeah.
And the way I'll probably do it, because I was thinking about how to do it. Either a 2D map, like it literally opens the 2D map and you can see where everyone is and select where, or I might either do that or instead like reuse the commander view where it would just like literally, you'd have the camera above where you can spawn, and there'd be arrows left and right, and you can select like the next spawn area or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure, but something like this, so you can select where you actually want to spawn.
Okay. Interesting. I can't wait for that, because that'll be
It'll make
huge.
a big difference.
That'll be huge for team tactics, because like if you need to spawn at an outpost that's under attack or something, you get the choice to do so now, instead of saying spawn in. Like, for example, it's mainly with the aliens, I think, like as a thing, because everyone loves build and spawn insists in every corner of the map. You can just end up spawning in the corner of the map, and then you're like, T alien infantry.
Yeah,
I'm this or else
exactly.
Now. T alien infantry.
It's by far the biggest difference will be felt most by the aliens, because the humans usually don't spread out as much, right? Usually when you die, because right now the way it works is it selects the nearest possible spawn location to you, right? To where you died. So that means if there's like a nearby barracks, you're going to respawn in that. If there's a nearby HQ, you're going to respawn in that. But obviously it should be a bit more, you should just be able to choose, basically.
Right, okay. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, that's what we need. Right. Well, that comes to the end of the video. As part of the our little live stream segment. Thank you, Mr. Dram, for assisting me on the patch notes. Very much appreciated. And we're going to be getting into the gameage now as well. So I'm going to end the video here. Like I said at the start of the video, if you like the video, please like, subscribe, and hit that bell notification button. And come and join us on Silica Sunday/Saturdays. I normally announce it on my Discord either a few days before, or just look for the schedule on the page on the channel. It'll tell you when I next go live. So without further ado, guys, I will see you in the next one. Peace out.